we had an issue one of our sites actually with a sledgehammer and a door being ripped off the hinges. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let me go share it out to the usual.
Actually, American Tower does the same thing with their broadcast sites. American Tower has the same combination, at least in the Midwest, for all their broadcast sites.
Yeah.
So once you know it, you can get into anything you want. Well, I'll email you offline there, Suncast.
Hey, that's for the paid version of TWiRT.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, really? I can hook you up. Crown, I think it's Crown. Yeah, Crown Castle does the same thing too.
Yeah.
Although the Crown Castle is
do
really easy.
No,
What's that? Oh, okay. Yeah, that one might be different though. Yeah, those are cool. That might be a different one though, because that's a non-broadcast site. So those codes are a little bit different. But I think I have that one too. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, they bought a lot. ATC almost bought all of the AT&T sites when they decommissioned it. So they've got a lot of those.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can do a paid version of the show where you give out a bunch of codes, cheat codes, and all that, like Discord or something.
Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or Kirk's luggage, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So
right.
Pretty easy stuff. Yeah, right. 25% of the time it works every time.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear anything. Facebook has changed everything again.
Yeah, it's their world. We're just living it.
Yeah, it's their world. That seems like the truth, doesn't it? Good golly. Okay.
Yeah, that'd work.
I don't think he cares about fixing anything.
No.
I could be wrong.
The Zuck.
One more share and we'll be ready with that. There's a new group. I break into transmitter sites.
Yeah, right. Oh, Ty could sponsor that one. Yeah. Now, if you don't want to be on this page, here's what you do.
All right, we got about a minute before airtime. And let's see here. Okay. Good. Oh, my goodness. What a day. We had an SBE meeting in Nashville today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like the it was like the Harnack family show. My wife cooked for it. and I was the presenter. Yeah. Oh, the food was the best part. I mean, my part is filled up.
Yeah, I mean, I would have gone just for the food.
You should, yeah. Well, actually, the vice president left not long after the food was finished. So,
no, there you go. That tells you something.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. As engineers, a lot of our day is spent just solving problems. At the moment, we can't call a cell phone in American Samoa, even though the 684 area code is supposed to be part of the North American numbering plan. But
somebody didn't get that memo, huh?
Well, the cell phone carrier is in American Samoa, at least the competing one, not the incumbent. Is well, to put it quickly, bluntly, would be part of the Puerto Rican mafia, but I didn't really say that.
You're going to wake up to half a cell phone in your bed tomorrow morning.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. I'll wake up not speaking Spanish anymore. Not speaking at all. Anyway, it's reported that There's some wash machines filled with money
Yeah. Hmm.
that go through there. Anyway, we're trying to get that problem solved. I mean, all of our time is spent, telling other people to solve the problem that they caused, right?
Right.
Seems like.
Well,
Yeah.
or just figuring out or trying to help them solve their problems.
Yeah,
We
or
had,
show you that it's not my problem. I don't care how much you want to blame me. Here's what I'm sending you. Or as the phone company used to say, the trouble's leaving here just fine.
Right. Yeah. I had to deal with that last week at a tower site we had where literally on the nose, every 10 minutes, the connection would drop for 2 minutes. And we kept losing our audio. And, the guys at the ISP were like, well, this and this. And so I finally, and this led us to start running ping plotter on everything. I sent them a chart from ping plotter. You could see literally on the nose, every 10 minutes, this thing would drop. And mysteriously, I've not heard back from them. But mysteriously, the next day it went away. Problem was, just disappeared.
Sure.
So it must have been something on our end, I'm sure.
Let's start the show so we have a full hour and however much we can squeeze out of Suncast. I appreciate him staying as late as he does every day. All right, here we go. It is episode 719 of This Week in Radio Tech for October 24th, and we will start our podcast here in 3, 2. Hey, welcome into This Week in Radio Tech. I'm Kirk Harnack, your host. So delighted to be here. It's been a heck of a Thursday, and we got another hour of it to go. I'm here in the Nashville office of the Telos Alliance. As you can see, the name back there, the sponsor name, Telos Alliance. And it's a beautiful end of summer day. It's just the weather is gorgeous. It is 73 degrees out there, and we've had just gorgeous sunny skies. High pressure has dominated, as we meteorologists say. We've had almost cloudless skies for seems like close to 2 weeks now. So my solar system on the roof has been deliriously happy, and the air conditioner hasn't run very much. So that's the report from Nashville, Tennessee. We've got a great TWiRT coming up for you, and part of that great TWiRT, ladies and gentlemen, let's put your hands together from Mukwanago, Wisconsin. It's Chris Tarr. Hey, Chris.
Woo. Yay. Woo. Hi. I am here at the Magnum Media Engineering World Headquarters, better known as my basement office. So I'm excited. Fall here in Wisconsin, the best part of the year, my favorite time of the year. I mean, the colors are just exploding. This weekend should be peak in most of the areas in this part of the state. So I am looking forward to getting out this weekend to look at the colors. Of course, that also means that it's getting cooler. So I actually had my heat on for the first time, which is pretty scary. But there you go. So, not too bad here.
Chris, we've got an amazing guest coming up, but first you mentioned the fall colors. When I think of fall colors, I don't necessarily, my thoughts don't go to Wisconsin, but I have seen beautiful pictures there, and it seems like I see pictures from Door County. Is Door County particularly beautiful?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's always beautiful, fall or, spring, summer, or fall, but this time of year, it's gorgeous. Now, the problem is with, the fall colors is you have kind of a narrow window to do them because it's either almost there or it's gone. So it's like, you literally have about a weekend to really get up there and look. And it looks like this weekend is going to be the weekend to do that. And it is, it's just amazing up there this time of year.
Gotcha. Good. All right. Well, we got a guest, and our guest is probably not far down the road from you. Our guest is Ty Magnum. That's somebody that you know. Hey, Ty, welcome in. Good to see you.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you gracing us. And so you two know each other. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, know each other well. Chris does the engineering for Magnum.media, and that's the stations that my dad owns and operates in Wisconsin here. So yeah, Chris and I have had the opportunity to work together for it's been a few years now.
Almost 5 years, yeah. And Ty, he sells himself short. Ty is actually a fantastic broadcast engineer. He does a lot of work with me. We work together, and he is. And you'll see this later during the show. He's a really smart guy, and really has kind of his unconventional thinking has gotten me to do unconventional thinking. So it's been really great. We have a lot of fun together too. It's a pretty good time. So yeah, when you said that Ty was going to be here, I was like, I got to be here for this one. If anything, just to make fun of him as he talks. So,
Well,
Give him a hard
by the way,
time.
all of the foregoing is not the story I heard. I heard you two had the same parole officer. That's what I heard.
That could happen at some point. Not beyond the realm of possibility.
All right, so I'm gonna before we run into the quick announcement from Nautel, I to tell you why I'm excited about the show. After talking with Ty and seeing the products and the services that he has available now and he's working on for the future, Ty seems to be one of these people who fulfills the entrepreneurial spirit in me that I never seem to get to. In other words, we all have kind of good ideas. Hey, what if we did and then we get busy with other stuff. And Ty is, we all have 24 hours a day, but Ty is one of these people who can take that time and set it aside and say, I'm going to figure out how to make these things work. And then if it works well and I like it, maybe other people will like it too. And maybe we can productize this and sell it. And so that, to me, that's one thing that Ty has in his personality. He's able to take ideas and actually execute on the idea to see if it's going to be beneficial. And when it is, look out. So, Ty, am I in the ballpark? Is that fit your personality?
That's a very nice description of it, for sure. I appreciate that. Yeah, I try to go all in on what I think can work, I guess, and just like you said, if it works for me, if it's something I think I could use, then I hope that other people can too. And I just
some people would just call you a greedy, opportunistic capitalist, but we're not going to call you that here. So.
Yeah, hey, if that's what.
Hey, if the capitalist fits,
Hey, we're going to talk to Ty about some ideas that help us broadcast engineers to get things done just more efficiently, more quickly, and eliminate some pain points in our life. And if he wants to talk about it, there's another idea coming down the pike for next year that Ty has, and I would love if he would expound on that a little bit later on in the show. Speaking of the show, we're brought to you in part by Nautel, and man, we all love Nautel. They do such good things for us as engineers. They make really good quality transmitters, AM and FM transmitters. And they've taken HD radio, which, it really was designed by committee, right? HD radio, and it has all these moving parts, and they've put these moving parts together into the Multicast Plus box, which I'm using. But they've taken all this and they've put it into software along with audio processing. It's like Omnia 9 audio processing in their GV2 transmitter. And so since they're offering all of this together in one package, you plug anywhere from 1 to 4 program streams by Livewire or AES67 into your GV2 transmitter, and you can take the HD radio test drive. What is that? Well, it makes it easier and cheaper for stations to try HD radio to see if it's right for you. Maybe you can open up new listeners. You can, get your graphics on the dashboard. Hey, your competitors have that right now. Your competitors being SiriusXM or some of the, the internet-based, Spotify and other things like that. You can get in there and compete with those with beautiful graphics. And now with that EAS at the edge, you can also get more meaningful emergency messages to your listeners. So what do you need to take the HD radio test drive? Well, you need lease or purchase a Nautel GV2 transmitter or upgrade your GV transmitter to a GV2. You can do that. You need an Xperi main station or equivalent license and a signed trial agreement with Nautel. And then you need some content. You can do one channel, just FM and HD, but you could also open up other channels. You could do some alternate language programming. Maybe you're like Nashville, Tennessee, where we have a lot of Spanish speakers, and whatever they speak in Kenya and Ethiopia, East Africa, we got plenty of those folks who have immigrated here for really the last 20 or 25 years. You've got all kinds of communities in probably where you live, and you may want to reach them in their native language. Or maybe you want to compete with somebody else on the air. Hey, maybe you got a K-Love in your market and you say, I want a piece of that. Or some other format. Well, you can do that. Check it out with Nautel. Go to nautel.com and check out their HD radio test drive. It might be exactly what you need to get going. We're glad we went to HD in Oxford, Mississippi. And we didn't even get to take advantage of the test drive because we did it last year. Okay, we're here with Chris Tarr and Ty Magnum. And Ty, boy, you're going to just jump in here and get started. Let's describe the problem first. There's a problem. You get to a transmitter site in the middle of the night. It's raining, it's storming, the cows are mooing. You slipped in the mud already, and you're trying to get in the building. And maybe you remember where the keys are, and it's not with you. That's happened to me so many times. We've had at my radio stations in Mississippi, we had an employee, not a technical guy, but we needed somebody to the transmitter site. He went to the transmitter site. He didn't have the keys. He had to break in. He broke in, and then we figured out he's at the wrong transmitter site.
Yikes.
So describe for me. Yeah, describe for me the problem, and then we'll get to some
that's
solutions.
the problem. I mean, I think you pretty much captured the problem. Breaking down your own door and it's at the wrong place. Yeah. Yeah, we've heard all kinds of different problems that people have had, and I mean, I've experienced some growing up in radio and having transmitter sites all over. So you like you said, it's the middle of the night, or you got to send somebody there who doesn't usually go there, and you got to get somebody a key. Even getting contractors a key. Things like that, having to drive, 6 hours round trip to open a door for somebody, all kinds of problems like that. And especially, again, when you have sites that are over a geographical region that are, maybe apart and so forth, it's really a question of management. It's also, of course, security as well, but also just the management aspect of how to, manage users and access and, things like that. And traditionally, broadcasters use lock boxes and padlocks and, daisy chain of padlocks, which is my least favorite, wrestling with those. They're usually just long enough to get around the gate, and the amount of mosquito bites that you suffer, that I've suffered at least, is unfortunate. So that's the problem, is basically using, technology in a lockbox or a padlock that, was made before the internet, and it is not really technology at all. It's just a, metal box, or a padlock. It's just a little metal device. It doesn't connect. It doesn't tell you anything. It has no inputs. It can't dial out and communicate with you, send you a message, or anything like that. So that is what we that's what we were trying to solve. And the way we solved it is with access control. And specifically cloud-based access control. So that's what this system is. It's a cloud-based access control system. And we've tweaked it a little bit just to make it, perfect for a remote site, or, a single door, which you can see behind me is kind of the demonstration, that we use to be the door. So it's made just for a single door in the woods or on a mountainside or wherever you could think to put it. And what it allows, again, is that technology. It's connected to the internet, and it can sense if the door forced open. You can lock it remotely from your phone, or the admin console, and so many other features that you can gain with it, in order to secure a building and also, again, manage it.
Gotcha. Okay. And so I'm familiar with access control, not a lot. My own stations, we really haven't done much of that. We had a little system in the past, but it was proprietary and Chinese and cheap. And I didn't install it. One of our operations guys did years ago, and then he actually left, and so we don't use it anymore. It sounds like, though, the technology has matured better and better. In fact, I'm sure I or Chris can throw at you a couple questions that would be common objections from an engineer, because we engineers think of all the things that can go wrong, right? And then I think you have an answer for at least a majority of these questions or comments.
I think so.
So the first two comments would be, well, I've got a transmitter sites that internet is either unavailable or unreliable. Do I need constant internet in order for this thing to work? Now, if I get out there on a dark and stormy night and the power's off, well, then I'm not going to have any internet or Wi-Fi at the transmitter site. What happens then without internet, or maybe without power? Because, hey, sometimes we go to the transmitter site, and that's why we're there. because the power's gone off or
Absolutely.
our internet feed is gone. So kind of address that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, addressing internet first, and then power. So, for internet, it doesn't need constant internet in order to work. It needs internet in order to to view the live camera feeds. That's either the external camera or the camera that's built into the actual device themselves. Um, and also to make changes remotely if you want to add or subtract a user and things like that. But it the devices actually store in themselves the latest configuration. So meaning it stores all the credentials and all of that up to the time that it would have lost internet. So to answer your question, if you go out and the internet's out, you're still going to be able to use your phone. And I should probably start by saying the best use of this system, it can use fobs and key cards as a traditional system, but the best use is to just have the credential on your smartphone. So it actually puts the credential right on your phone, and then you walk up to the door, and that's how it unlocks the door. So if you've lost internet at the building, it can still allow all the credentials that were in there up until it lost internet. It'll retain those, and you can walk up and still get in the building. So that's the internet part. And for power, the battery backup is the best option for continuing to power it in the event of an outage. And the good thing about these units is they don't use a lot of power when they're at rest, so it's not difficult to back them up for even days. The only time they really use any amount of power is when you actually go up and unlock it, and that energizes the lock for 5 or 7 or 10 seconds or whatever it's set to, and that draws some power, but even that's not that much. So it's not difficult to back up, and we use battery backups like with actual batteries, and then on a charge control system. I know that a lot of broadcasters maybe use like the UPSs and things like that, which are fine, but I've at least found using um, the lead acid batteries and so forth a little more reliable, and then you can really tweak just how long you want the system to last, so we can simply do the calculation on how many amp hours are needed, and then get it to last for 4 hours, or which a battery like this could go make it last for at least like 4 hours, and then just build more batteries, larger versions of that one, and in series and parallel and so forth to get it to go. I mean, even like 8 days would not be. You would not need a huge array of batteries to have for like 8 days on a system like that. So,
Gotcha.
and also solar
Chris,
too is a good option. It's probably worth noting.
yeah.
The draw and everything is low enough that you can actually do solar panels to help with the longevity, and technically with enough you could have it last forever, if you have enough sun.
For forever sun depending. Chris, you're using these at your sites, right?
Not yet. No.
Oh.
Well, we actually just I think we've got our first one happening soon. But part of, I'm sure, we deal with the same issues, and it's kind of how Ty is learning some of the some of the shortcomings of the systems that we use now. He's not kidding when he says, he's dealt with all of this. We were just talking about, we had a site where there's a key box and somebody smashed the key box and got in. It's pretty trivial to do that. So I've used the systems before similar to this, not nearly as fully featured. When I was with Intercom, we had these at transmitter sites and buildings, but they didn't have a lot of the features that they're talking about now, because they just weren't as advanced then as they are now. We still had to use fobs, and we absolutely had to rely on power and things like that working. In fact, it was the point where we actually would carry a spare key to open the door in case the lock didn't work. So, times have certainly changed. And I think in terms of broadcast, that's one of the great things about these newer systems is, Ty has that experience of dealing with this. He grew up around it. and so he really knows the specific challenges of what these need to solve. And I think something else that that I was going to bring up, because you asked about some of the questions. One of the things that came up, I know because we had talked about it, and I'll let him go into detail with this, but RF immunity. I mean, that's a huge thing at transmitter sites. How does it deal with with RF, at some of these sites? So I'll let Ty talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a very important one as well. If especially with the locking mechanisms and so forth, and how they're wired together with relays and things like that, it's very important to make sure that, especially in a high RF environment, that those things are protected. And we have two systems. I should maybe just point out quickly. This one is made by Motorola, and then the other one is a Ubiquiti product. And specifically, the Motorola product is, first of all, pretty much engineered with the Motorola is very concerned about being able to basically put these in any environment, and so they've built them to be able to withstand that to begin with. But then we take extra precautions as well. And again, having grown up in radio and in RF environments and so forth, and knowing, especially with audio, how careful you have to be and what you have to do to try to eliminate it to the best degree possible. We take a lot of those same measures that in this system. So even just putting the controller, there's a controller panel that goes inside the building, and like putting that inside of a metal box, and using Cat 7 shielded cable in order to reduce that RF, and then there's other things that can be done as well, depending on just how much RF there is in the environment. So yeah, that's a good thing to think about as well.
Can you say, Ty, that you've had a situation that you couldn't solve, that RF was just always there bothering it, or have you been able to solve every situation you've been in?
Yeah, we haven't had a situation, and again, like you brought up with Chris using these, this is very new technology, and so we haven't we haven't necessarily had to contend with very high RF environments, but we're confident that we can make it work in pretty much any environment.
And there's been some testing going on with that too. I know you were going to start working with Saga at a very high RF area in Milwaukee to test those out. So, basically, there's that whole just best practices, even with chokes and that sort of thing. So, and it's not like these have been used in, or, some similar things. There's a lot of sites that use similar kind of technologies successfully. I know the master site in Milwaukee has a keypad that works through all of that, and that's never been an issue. So, I know that you're actively testing that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe it would help to maybe give just a little background on sort of the development of this technology too, because a lot of this, even up until recently, a lot of access control systems were on-prem systems. So they had a server or a controller to control many doors, and I actually started doing access control for schools and businesses with those systems, and it was when we got to we had a school that needed just a single door, and an on-prem system for a single door is not the most cost-effective thing, because they're built for, usually, unless you get the little offshoot ones, but the systems are made for more than one door. And we got involved with Motorola at that point, and they were just this was just a few years ago. They had just basically purchased this technology and were rolling it out. And when I saw where they had come to on the technology to be fully cloud-based hardware, so all the hardware connects directly to their cloud platform, that's when, growing up in radio, I had realized that if this can work on a single door there, like for a school, then it's perfect. It would be perfect with a few modifications. It would work perfectly for a single door at a transmitter building out in the woods. And so again, it's very, very new technology, but I think they've really reached sort of access control, technology, being able to have it be so just well thought out, every feature that can be imagined, and then also the cloud based aspect of it makes as little hardware as needed on the physical hardware needed, and the rest takes place in the cloud, which is very nice.
Well, and again, again with you, still actively being in engineering, with you and I working together, you really do understand what broadcasters need because you are one. So, even though this is your day job, it's not like you're somebody who sold keyless entry systems going, hey, this would be great for radio. So yeah, it'll work. We'll just take whatever we're doing off the shelf and do it here. You come into this with, hey, this solves a problem that I have, that we're dealing with. So you have that unique insight to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've dealt with lock boxes being frozen over and people breaking in, and all those things. And so I was able to again, take this and add a few. We added a few, an extra relay and some things to make like the siren work and all of that in again, without the need for larger controllers and so forth like that. So we modified it slightly so that it would just sort of be a small act and relatively simple and efficient installation and so forth for a transmitter building. And the other big point too is, with a traditional system, even if you use single smaller systems for like a single door, when you have each transmitter building is its own building, and so at that point you have to network the buildings together, like through VPN or something like that, in order to be able to manage users and all of those things in one place. So that's where this system allows users and all of that logs, reports, the devices, and everything else to all be managed in one browser admin console. No matter how many sites you have, no matter where they are, and you don't have to worry about networking them together and all of that.
Yeah,
they're all in one place, which is nice.
You're letting the cloud do that work, and which it's it's designed to do. And I got to tell you, as an engineer, sometimes we get stuck with the problems of the past, not realizing that these problems are largely solved. I was just thinking about, I got a bunch of Wise cameras because we're really cheap at different transmitter sites all over Mississippi, Arkansas, which is a rather tenuous link out to Arkansas, Hawaii, and American Samoa. And my goodness, this is just so reliable. Every time I go, to this page for looking at my cameras. And my point there is not so much the cameras, it's that these just report Wi-Fi back through the internet connection, back to Wise, the camera solution that we've chosen at this point. And it's incredibly reliable. I mean, it's more reliable than me not remembering my keys for the car when I run downstairs to go to Kroger.
I'll even take that one step further. I had an issue at our site in Brownsville. That's the one, if you remember the video, where you got to snake up the hill and do all this stuff. I had a report of our importer having some issues, and I couldn't log into it. So, I'm sitting here going, boy, it could be just about anything. And, I was going to say, I was sending a tech up there, but I didn't even know where to start. Well, I brought up the camera, I zoomed in, I could see, oh, it's off. And so I have a remote control outlet for it. It wasn't coming on. So obviously now we know probably a power supply. And sure enough, that's what it was. And I never would have known that had I not had the camera to zoom in and look and see that the thing wasn't powered up. So, again, that's where all of these solutions start to come in. We now have cameras at all of our sites for that reason. We've we've started to rely on those. So, and we're a small group, and we've managed to figure out how to get internet at all of our sites. So, again, with even these door solutions and things like that, a lot of us are already halfway through that solution, getting internet at sites and cameras and things like that. So it's kind of a natural progression. Are those carts that I see there? You're muted. You're muted, Kirk. Kirk, you're muted.
Those are carts, and those are holes for turntables. And this site is out in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi. It takes 3 internet providers to provide reliable service at this site. And there's a wireless ISP. And that's the only thing that this camera is on. In other words, this camera is on the wireless ISP, and it's looking at the 2 5G gateways I have. One of them is T-Mobile, and T-Mobile can't keep their tower running there. And the other one is AT&T FirstNet. And the modem itself screws up from time to time.
Sure.
So
that's crazy.
But this way I can talk the GM into rebooting the FirstNet modem when it needs to be rebooted. Hey, we got to take a quick commercial break. I got so many questions coming up. So Ty, get ready to answer some more. And we're going to take a look at some of the equipment, the close-up look at the equipment, and try to understand, why this is really a better solution. Also, Ty, be ready to answer the following question. You mentioned that a cell phone is better, I guess, with its NFC capability, and I want to know why it's better than something like like a key fob. So you said it was better. I want to understand a bit more about that. Our show This Week in Radio Tech is brought to you in part by Broadcast Bionics and the amazing Bionic Studio. This is not at the transmitter site. This is for your announcers, for your on-air staff to have information that they need quickly at hand. It's like in a sports broadcast, when you've got that statistician or that color guy providing you with all that information to make your broadcast way better, way more informative. That's what the Bionic Studio can do for you. Let's check it out.
Welcome to the Bionic Studio. The Bionic Studio brings all audience interaction to the fingertips of a production team in radio, TV, and podcast. Our workflow-led system is working 24/7 around the world for small broadcasters and national and international networks. Our telephony module, Bionic Talk Show, allows cost-effective centralization, remote operation, scalability, and resilience across an entire network of stations, but at the same time is used in single-studio self-op environments. Social media curation and activity is now considered a broadcast-critical part of programming. Bionic Social means the studio isn't overwhelmed with a wall of interaction from an ever-growing number of social platforms. We combine SMS, MMS, and email together with a speech-to-text service for listeners using smart speakers. We enable studio teams to curate, filter, and display all platforms in one place, and post text, images, and video content to multiple platforms in one operation. Effortless collection of video content with Bionic Director has helped position some of the world's most successful stations as leaders in viral content, generating appointments to listen and free marketing via retweets and shares. Bionic Contest enables end-to-end tracking of on-air competitions, live reads, and prizes. These could be on-air contests, automated SMS entry, or online. Anywhere, and Skype TX for Radio brings high-quality audio and video contribution into the studio with ease. No need for dedicated PCs to run different applications. Everything is controlled within the Bionic Studio UI, and incoming connections are visible to users along with all other platforms. Our codec integration enables connection, algorithm configuration, and directory to a wide range of IP and ISDN codecs. The Bionic Studio, a unique suite of products designed to enable your talent to work smarter.
So much cool stuff from Broadcast Bionics, including the Bionic Studio and the virtual rack and all this kind of stuff. Check it out, bionics.co.uk. Thanks so much, Dan McQuillan and all those really smart developers at Broadcast Bionics. By the way, their stuff is tested in some of those demanding environments, some of those London radio stations that they're close to. Oh my goodness, these guys put the stuff to the test. It works for them. It'll work for you very well. All right, here we are at This Week in Radio Tech, episode 719. Chris Tarr, my co-host, is along, and our guest is Ty Magnum. And Ty is putting together, he's tested the stuff that you and I kind of wonder about. Is this really going to work? Is this good? I don't know if it's worth the trouble or not. Well, Ty went to the trouble to figure out it's worth the trouble because it's no trouble at all. Ty, okay, this question about why NFC from your phone instead of a fob.
Yeah, well, I would say there's two reasons. I'll give you the practical reason first. the most practical reason that a cell phone is the best key to use to open the door is because people can't share it or won't. A high probability that somebody's not going to give somebody their phone and then have them open the door. So take their phone somewhere and open the door. So you can be sure that when the log and the reporting says that this person opened the door, because it shows, Ty's cell phone is the credential that was presented. You can be pretty darn sure that that was me, even if you don't have the the camera. Like if you have the reader that doesn't have the camera on it, you can be sure that that's the person who opened up the door. That's just as a principle. Also, in terms of the specifically the Motorola system, they actually have a patented technology that uses a combination of internet and Bluetooth and the NFC on the phone in order to make it the most secure unlock that that there can reasonably be. So, NFC by itself can be bypassed or hacked in certain scenarios with certain devices, and that's a concern. And Motorola has really gone through as much as they possibly can to make it as encrypted as possible, where those devices can't hack it and open up the door to bypass it. So those are the two reasons that a cell phone's the best practice.
Gotcha. Okay.
But key cards and fobs are if somebody wants to use a key card or fob, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but cell phone's the best.
Plus, you always have it with you.
Right.
You always.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah,
fobs and everything get lost. Who doesn't have their phone with them all the time?
Understood. Cool. Is it? And I guess it's certainly possible to take. Is this an app on your cell phone that you install?
Yep. Yep.
Oh, okay. And so one, like when this get installed across your group of stations, Chris can use the same app to go into any of them. But you get a report, you or Chris, you can see, hey, Chris went in here, Chris went in there. Right?
Yeah. So you get a report on the admin console, and it's got all kinds of things, but yeah, it'll show you, this door was opened at this time by this credential. Yep.
And the other great thing about an app is explain to everybody about vendors and things like that, temporary access.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the great solutions for this, especially for broadcasters, I think is the guest pass. So what you can do if you allow a user to have the ability to send a guest pass, a user can go in the app and basically decide what the window is that the credential will work. So it's a temporary credential, so it'll be an hour or a day or whatever it is, and then choose which doors, so like which sites that would be for, and then text it or email it to anybody. So yeah, if there's contractors like tower climber or anybody else, electrician or anybody would have to get in there, you can just text them a one-time code. And even if you have staff or something like a manager or other people who maybe don't go, and maybe they don't need a credential, but you could easily just text it to them, without actually having them have to download an app or anything like that. It comes to them via SMS or email are the easiest, but it can really use any messaging system. So that's a great application for broadcast for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. The systems that we're talking about, you're talking about them particularly for transmitter sites, and the fact that the connectivity could be intermittent if it had to be, it can work. It can let you in without having internet access because it's got the credentials stored. Is there any reason why you couldn't or wouldn't also put this into sensitive studio locations like a rack room or places where you don't want general public to wander in, or maybe even disc jockeys?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, you could put it. There's no reason. Yeah, you could put it into studio. Yeah, again, we've put it in for schools and businesses. Yeah, it's made to pretty much go anywhere. We're sort of, targeting the, transmitter sites as a great example and a great use for this. Just because, again, a lot of people might already have some type of an access control or a keypad or other things at their studios. But most all transmitter sites basically have just very rudimentary locking mechanisms and so forth, and so that's where we thought that's where a lot of this could really advance that a lot. But yeah, works great for a studio too, or anything else.
And for example, Kirk, the first system we're going to put in is, I believe, going to be in our Fort Atkinson area, and that's going to be one at a transmitter site and the studio building. So, we'll have it at both places, same kind of system, same app on the phone or whatever. So, they can pretty well be deployed anywhere.
Chris, I figured you would instantly prioritize the installation in the Ninjaneer executive washroom.
Well, yeah, I'll have one at my house. Yeah.
No, this is only for the Ninjaneer.
Well, our good example for why it would be important is our Fort Atkinson building. Ty and I have really kind of built that into a data center for the company. So, it is kind of, we would like to know. I have cameras in there, but we would like to know who's coming and going into that building now.
Yeah.
Because it should just be a few people. So, and again, that's where, we have a key box, and because, we end up having the same combination everywhere, like everybody else, anybody can get in and mess with the stuff. So, to be able to have tighter control there is a great idea. And there's
a lot of different features. There's so many different features, like you brought up, like with Fort. I mean, you can set the schedule that, any credential should be used, and then get alerted if a credential is used outside that window. You can set it so that, only certain people have access, all the time, and then everybody else is restricted. There's so many things that you can do in terms of, getting alerts via text, call, or email, and just, so many different things to, again, just ease even just the management. Again, it's security, and that's very important, but also just the management of various sites, or like you mentioned, rack rooms or things like that.
And I think too, I was just thinking about this as you were talking about the security aspect of it, because obviously that's what this is about. But more and more, we are finding that broadcasters, especially with the elimination of main studio rule, you are finding situations like that where you have facilities that aren't manned all the time. And, to be able to know what's going on in those facilities in and out, and having that security is becoming more and more important. And I think that, that's something else that really hasn't been talked about is, just those buildings there too, where there's office space that may not be used much anymore, or, you've been doing consolidation. And so you maybe have a facility that really is nothing but racks. We need to get away from just having, simple locks and things like that, because, again, in our situation, where you have a bunch of stations in one building, so a bad actor could take a lot of things and make a lot of things go south quickly by getting in there.
Yeah.
And like another.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I was just going to quickly, and another example of like where the reporting is great for management is, if you had this at all of your sites, you can run a report or have a report emailed like once a month or something that says, here's the sites that have been accessed by oldest date, and then you could see, which site hasn't been accessed in, say, or could do it so that what site hasn't been accessed in more than 30 days, and then you'd be able to know maybe that's a site that you should get to, because nobody has presented a credential at it for more than 30 days, which nobody's walked in the door then in 30 days, and then that's a site you should probably go just like walk into and make sure that everything's good, right? Things like that. It's just
or my
making
favorite,
life easier.
My favorite is when I get a call from your dad saying, "So who was in this building last?" And I have to go, I don't know. They didn't sign the log. I have no idea who was in there last.
Or now, Chris, you've written a tower lighting report for these two sites. We don't see you've been there, but we noticed that the Dewdrop Inn is just down the street from both of those.
Oh, and Ty's dad will gently remind me when he sees that I haven't signed the log in more than 30 days. And, sometimes I'm there and I forget to sign it, or, whatever. But, I mean,
so maybe that would be a good thing or a bad thing. That'd be good. Or I guess, if you're an engineer, don't tell, maybe don't tell the owner about that, ability to do that. That might get out of hand. Yeah.
All right. So being an engineer, I have questions. Suncast is ready with a couple of pictures here, and I want some explanation here. Suncast, throw up what looks good to you to throw up here, and we're going to put Ty in the hot seat. All right, there we go. Oh no, okay. Now that's a camera and what? And the sensor.
Yeah, so
right?
that's the Motorola video reader. Yeah, so on the top there is a camera. It's 5 megapixel camera there, and then the bottom is the actual fob reader. So that's this unit here. So you present the credential down at the fob, and then you can't really see that on the, but yeah, it's the bottom's the fob reader, top's the camera.
Gotcha. And what's next, Suncast? I was looking for the door jam. There we go. That's what I wanted to ask you about. So this is the hard part of the system where you have to actually do some screwing. We've all seen these, but I've never thought about how they work. Ty, what can you tell us about this mechanism and why is it considered pretty safe?
Yeah, so this is it's an electric strike, and they come in all shapes and sizes depending on the use. This one is really maybe the most basic. It's just made for a cylindrical lock set, so a lock set that most people would have, like the one behind me, and yeah. So this has to be cut into the door frame. So this goes into the door frame, and then it is the the latch piece there. So you have the part in the middle that's hollowed out. That's where the latch for the cylindrical lock set sits, and then that little metal part is what actually retracts when it is electrified, when a credential is presented. So yeah, that has to be cut into the door. Like you said, that's probably the hardest part of all of it, and the most important as well, because it's the security. It becomes the lock. So that's what actually you'll pretty much always leave the door locked then, and then this is what actually opens the door.
Now, I guess on most business front doors, the doors tend to open out, toward the outside. Many of the transmitter sites that I've got, it's either way. Some open in, some open out. Does this work either way?
Well, that's where it comes into selecting it. Yeah, so that's where it comes into selecting the electric strike. And that's really, what we do. I mean, what we do is we go around, we install these, so we would install this in the door. And a huge part of the installation is what electric strike should be used. Again, they come in any size, any form that you imagine, and then more that you probably wouldn't even think of. So yeah, if you have double doors, if you have if you have doors like with a mullion, that's the center part down the middle. If it's detachable or not detachable, if it opens out or opens in, how far the latch is on the lock, if it's 3/4 of an inch, or if you have a deadbolt as well, just all of those factors come in. And then also, how much security do you want? Like obviously, if you have a latch and a deadbolt, that'd be more secure than maybe just a latch, and all of those things. There's a lot of factors to take into account, and then you got to choose the right one for the job.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, this may not be intuitive as to which one to pick. Now, assuming you pick the right one, what is it about that mechanism that makes it really secure and maybe not prone to being pried open with a screwdriver?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, for one thing, the mechanism is inside the door mostly. So
Yeah.
not only is it very difficult to access from the outside because you have the actual door frame and everything, but also the force, the holding force on the actual device is made for. It's a couple thousand pounds. I mean, it depends on the one that you get. So it can't really be pried open. You'd be better off to just go after the actual door itself than trying to actually bypass this lock. That's where I have a sledgehammer to easily dismantle like a lockbox, or I can easily open a padlock with a couple of wrenches. But you can't really open one of these with a hand tool, or potentially even a power tool. I mean, a lot of those, what they're made out of is resistant to even cutting tools and things like that. At that point, again, somebody would go after the actual door itself, and just bypass going after the lock,
So
because that would be very difficult to break.
We need a video of you, me, and Chris all shouldering into a door trying to break it open, and the door breaks, but the lock stays. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, again, that's what would happen. Like if you tried to break into a door that had one of these, properly installed, the lock set would go, the door would go, but the electric strike would remain in the frame. That would be very difficult to actually, break from the frame.
Now, what is I tell you what, I'd love to ask this question, but we need to take a quick break here. And in fact, Chris Tarr may be helping me out with Angry Audio. Chris, Suncast probably has the Rave console video ready, but what would you like to talk about with Angry Audio, Chris?
Well, I would like to talk about the device that I'm using right now, which is the Rebel mic processor. It's pretty amazing. And in fact, we were just talking about it on Facebook earlier today. A few other people chimed in as well. It is such a simple yet elegant device, and it makes you sound great. When you first look at it, you think, how can this thing even work? There's really nothing to it. And then you also think about mic processors, and you remember things like the Symmetrix 528E that has all these knobs on front. And how do you get that big sound by adjusting all those knobs? Well, you can get the big sound without having to do any of that with the Chameleon Rebel mic processor. It has low latency, which is one of the big things. Some digital processors, you kind of hear a little delay in there. That is all gone. Low latency DSP. It has the Studio Hub in and out, but also the XLRs. It's super quiet, super clean, ultra low noise, and high gain mic preamp. And I'll tell you what, the controls on this thing, there aren't many, and they don't need them. I'm looking at mine right now. I've got an input, a drive, a room, which is kind of like a gate. It's the room control, which is really elegant. It almost sounds like it changes the size of the room from something really big to something really small. EQ, there's a low and a high trim. That's it. So those are basically the controls that you have. And that's all you need because, when I was talking to Corny and Catfish about this, the reason why you have the Smooth, which is for the SM7, and the Rebel for the RE20 and 27 is because they baked in most of the settings into the device. So instead of buying a one-size-fits-all processor and trying to make the processor fit the microphone, they designed a processor that fits the mic out of the box. So you could technically take this right out of the box, plug it in, and sound great. Now, if you want to pull the front cover off and tweak some of the knobs, you can do that. And then you pop the cover back on and you just set it and forget it. So, I was very fortunate. I was able to find one on B-Stock to put it in my home studio here, and it sounds amazing. And it took me 5 minutes maybe to set it up. So it really, if you're voice tracking at home or doing podcasting or something like that, it's a great way to make your microphone sound really great without the pitfalls of some of the other processors like the 186 or the 528E that have all of these controls that you could very quickly get lost trying to set them up. And here's something else. I've never had a mic processor where I haven't had to turn off the de-esser. The de-esser on the 528E and the DBX, you could always tell it would dull out highs pretty quickly. On this one, it has a de-esser, and I was surprised. I had it on and was using it, and you can't even tell it's working. It's that clean. So check it out. You can check them out online, angryaudio.com. You can talk to your favorite broadcast distributor. They sure can get you set up with an Angry Audio. Now remember, it's the Rebel. The RE in Rebel stands for RE20, and then the Smooth, the SM in Smooth stands for the SM microphones, and that would work for a 7 or a 5, that same kind of capsule that Shure makes. So, again, just a very simple solution. It's something that can make your microphones sound fantastic right out of the box. It is the Angry Audio Chameleon Smooth and Rebel mic processors. Get them today.
Imagine your voice dipped in butter. It's
like honey. It's like honey.
Was it honey or butter? I like both. I put both on.
That's what I'm saying. You can do honey butter.
That's right. Hey, our show is also brought to you by Max Connect Wireless and Max Connect offering this U.192. And what is that? Why would you need it? So many broadcasters are trying these software-based audio processors. And if you're trying something like the Omnia SST or Stereo Tool or Breakaway One, these are Windows software-based FM audio processors. And they will typically either optionally or built in put out micro MPX. But what if you don't need micro MPX? What if you just need composite locally right there where the computer is that's doing the processing. Maybe you're trying to feed a 950 megahertz STL system, or maybe your transmitter is right there at the same site. Well, what you need is the U.192 box from Max Connect. And it's called the Max Connect Broadcast U192. And look, it's an a multiplex USB sound card. And you say, well, hey, I've done some reading. I've read where there's a couple of sound cards on the market that'll do this job. Yeah, kinda. Kinda. The 192 is meant to do this exact job, and it is specifically designed by broadcast engineers to give you the proper ground separation between the computer and the device you're feeding, and also the proper locked-in sample rate to give you the proper output. It also has stereo audio inputs and outputs, so you can use this as your input device as well, and come out with a non-micro MPX output. The specs on this thing are absolutely fantastic. Why? Because it was actually designed in large part by Mike Dosh at Angry Audio. He's worked with Josh Bone to come up with this whole idea. And this is it's the cat's meow for people who want to run audio processing on a PC-based audio processor. And these are becoming pretty popular. Check it out at the Max Connect website, MAXXKONNECT. They're also a stereo tool dealer there at Max Connect, so they can totally hook you up with all that. I should mention that Max Connect offers contract engineering services over a large part of the U.S., including some tower services as well. So if you need that kind of thing, if you need whatever you need installed, a system designed, you want it done right, talk to Max Connect. They got a whole division for doing that, and they're really good at what they do. Thanks a lot, Max Connect, for sponsoring this week in Radio Tech. All right, we got a few minutes left here with our guest, Ty Magnum. Ty, I don't know, I guess I think we probably know all that we might need to know about this. There's a website. In fact, Suncast could pop that website up real quick. It is Joda Media, and you can read all about the idea of conditional access.
There is one more thing that I think is important to talk about. And
sure.
You kind of hinted at this at the beginning. Locks for gates, where you have the chain of locks. There's you guys have something that can help with that too.
Yeah, there's basically an electric strike made just for gates, and that works really well. And it can mount in, all different variations of gates, whether they slide or they swing. And then, I just put like a standard reader or one of those readers out on a little box out there, and that works really, really well to get rid of those daisy chain padlocks.
Okay. That's So the different people that need access, even contractors that need just temporary access, that can be arranged. There's not a whole string of locks. There's one device, and you put your cell phone or your fob to it, and you're in if you're supposed to be in. Is that the idea?
Yeah. Yep, that's the idea.
Man, that my site in Oxford, Mississippi could use that. There are 6 or 7 locks strung together on a custom-made pole thing with sliding gizmos, and it's pretty effective, but man.
Or somebody, bypasses your lock on the chain, or we had a situation where somebody actually took the lock and it disappeared for a while. So man, that's probably almost as big of a deal as the door locks in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool for sure.
Good solution. All right. We got a couple of minutes right now. Ty, would you like to talk about this idea for next year? Broadcast over IP?
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think there is. Tell you what, go ahead and set it up. And there's a web page that's got a lot of text, but there's a couple pictures that Suncast might want to have at the ready if possible. But go ahead and you know what I said earlier? I complimented you about you're the kind of entrepreneur that takes ideas and actually says, "Can we do this?" And you stub your toe getting it done, and then you figure out the 1,700 ways that it doesn't work, and then you figured out a few ways that it does work, and you start to put that forward on the marketplace. What's broadcast over IP? Because I like this idea.
Yeah, we're excited about this coming in 2025. We're basically taking the cloud computing model. So like infrastructure as a service and also platform as a service. Those are, the computing model that, uses, where you can go on to a cloud platform and, get a virtual computer that, runs X amount, has this much storage and CPU and RAM and all of that. And so we're taking that type of model and basically making a data center for broadcast radio. So what event, I mean, the overview, of what we're going to be able to do is have a browser platform where somebody can go and choose, you know, what they want for a, automation system, and then, processing and RDS and everything else, and select all of those, different units and everything that they want to use. And then basically, spin up a whole chain right there in the cloud that they can run their entire station on. And then we're in the process of manufacturing a unit, and that is basically the edge infrastructure. It's what we call a cloud connector. So that's the hardware piece that's going to connect back to the cloud platform for your stream, and that's what goes at the transmitter site to interface with the with the transmitter in order to output the entire signal that's needed for the transmitter. So it's going to be sort of a soup to nuts platform for hosting an entire broadcast audio chain in the cloud, and then using the edge device to export that signal right into your transmitter. So all you need at your transmitter site is your transmitter and your cloud connector, and then that's what gets you on the air. And then obviously you have the antenna system and so forth, and maybe one of the security systems as well. But yeah, what you need is that those two devices and not everything else. So it makes it all in the cloud.
So it seems that to me for a while. Oh, and okay. So here's part of what. Well, let me ask this question. If you'll stay on this Suncast, I want to ask a purely public cloud solution like an Amazon Web Services, AWS.
Right.
You can do a lot of this in that kind of environment, but not everything. You can't do everything in that yet. And the main thing, and it may be kind of spendy also with the ingress and egress costs. But one thing you can't do in AWS is have instant live access to satellite delivered programming, like top of the hour news or other satellite delivered shows, especially ball games. Now, these could be fed, over live streaming, but because you're not going to be committed to faceless AWS data centers, you can provide satellite, as the icons on your graphic would imply. If I need to get CBS top of the hour news, I'm thinking you can supply that to my system.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Right. We're going to build this, from the ground up. It's our own data center. So yeah, we're not using, another platform or anything like that. It's going to be our own data center. And yeah, we're going to have, satellite delivery and any other device, that would be needed to have a full, signal with encoding and EAS and everything like that, all in the signal without the needing those devices locally. So yeah, like you said, you could do some things in the cloud, but certainly not the whole thing, and not in maybe a seamless package. But that's what what we're looking to do is host the whole thing and have it be seamless and have it output just that one unit.
Gotcha. And of course, you have redundancies available. You can send more than one stream over, more than one internet backbone. You could have, redundant receiving devices at the transmitter site. So you have some redundancy available.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All those kinds of things.
I'd love to get Chris's comments, but we got to hit our last commercial break and have tips of the week. Chris, I know you almost always, you always have a tip of the week. And this is once again, I forgot to warn Ty, Ty, we're looking for a tip, a Ty tip at the end of the show. So we'll encourage viewers to stay tuned through our last commercial break. It's for one of the most popular devices ever put in radio studios. DJs love them. It's called the Vox Pro.
Hey, what's happening? St. John here, coming to you from Command Central, and wanted to tell you about the absolute best partner you can have in radio. I'm talking about, boom, Wheatstone's Vox Pro. Now, a lot of folks have used previous versions of Vox Pro, all awesome, but I want to tell you about some of my favorite new features in 7. And for folks who've never used Vox Pro before, I'm about to tell you why it's an absolute game changer and essential for really fast-paced multi-element radio. Lots of different audio software out there. Why Vox Pro? Because, it was designed for radio. It's the only software designed to do what we needed to do, which is record, edit, playback in real time. When I say lightning fast, I'm going to show you how fast you can edit stuff up in Vox Pro right now. So literally 3 clicks on the controller, mark left, mark right, everything that gets marked, you hit delete, it goes away. It's literally that fast. So we're going to take this part right here. Boom. From caller 9 to him saying, I'm ready.
Ready for that secret sound.
Boom. All of that stuff, hit delete, it goes away. Here's your edit.
You are tackling secret sound caller 9. I'm ready, St. John.
So one of the best features of version 7, this is awesome. It's effects macros, and you can literally put a chain of effects together so that instead of having to normalize a phone bit and then use noise reduction on it and EQ it and all that, you can literally build a chain. One button, this one's called call right here. I just click that. All of those processes happen instantaneously. Literally saves 80% of your editing and cleanup time. Final thing that I love about Vox Pro, and there's so much more to get into, but one of my favorite things, you can load it on a laptop. I've literally done my show from a hotel room in Armenia to the conference room at, this was fun, jury duty. Great thing, no one could tell the difference. Vox Pro makes it totally easy. Telling you, if you're looking for the best on-air partner, call my friends at Wheatstone, ask them about Vox Pro, and you will be glad you did.
And the best place to get Vox Pro is going to be from Broadcasters General Store. Sharp pencils, good deals, and really, 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 really nice, friendly people. I love this family, the Shoot family, and then all the others that are involved in Broadcasters General Store at 352-622-7700. They carry all of your favorite stuff. Give them a call. All right. We got just a minute left for our tips of the week. Chris Tarr, would you mind going first?
Absolutely. We ran into a situation, we were talking about it earlier, where one of our sites, I kept getting packet loss and couldn't figure out what was going on. Excuse me. And it got me to thinking we use a lot of fiber connections and a lot of IP-STLs, and really we weren't monitoring them very much for quality. Ping Plotter. We ended up buying the commercial version, the pro version of Ping Plotter, and I now have that running full time on a virtual machine. And what's cool about it's got a web, you can turn on a web server on it so you can log into it and see from the web. But we now then have the visualization of all of our network connections to all of our sites, and we can see, like, if somebody says, hey, I think earlier today I heard some skipping or something on the air, we can scroll back on that particular station's audio or STL feed and see if there was any packet loss or jitter or high pings or something else that may have caused that issue. So it's just a really good tool. And I think there's a freeware, there is an open source thing called Smoke Ping. If you have time to kind of figure that out, I would Ping Plotter just because it does everything we need and I don't have to mess with it. So yeah, just, I found that to be just a really cool tool for the toolbox.
Good advice. Excellent advice. I happen to use one called Multiping, and it's similar. And I have a display on my computer here with about 14 destinations and check them all that way. But Ping Plotter, that's kind of like the gold standard. That's the one I hear of the most. All right, Ty Magnum, looking for a tip of the week. Can you help us out?
Yeah, well, I suppose my tip has to be, go and check out cloud-based access control. I talked a lot about the Motorola, but the system here, Ubiquity, you can't get Motorola yourself, but Ubiquity you can. You can get that directly from Ubiquity, and it's a great system, and it can be installed by yourself. So if you think if you have the tools for it and so forth, it's a great system, and you can definitely a lot of people have cameras and all of that, and I would certainly recommend looking into upgrading the actual locks so that you can not only see but also control as well. It's very useful.
Cool. Excellent advice. And you said the Motorola you get through dealers like Joda Media.
Yep.
That can install
Yes.
the whole thing. And Ubiquity, you can also get that through you, jodamedia.com. We'll have the link in the show notes, or you can do that yourself if you're feeling really frisky.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
All right. Chris and Ty, thank you both so much for being with us and joining us here on This Week in Radio Tech. It's been fun, and I really, really appreciate both of you. Also, a big thanks to
Thank you.
Suncast for producing this show, This Week in Radio Tech, as he does every week. So big thanks to Suncast. And we'll be back next week with another edition of This Week in Radio Tech. Take care. Bye-bye.